The cold stars flickered quietly as the human warship Iron Resolve drifted closer to the alien distress signal. Captain Elena Voss stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the glowing screen. The SOS had come from a strange vessel deep inside enemy space. The message was clear but chilling. Help us, or we all die. Her crew was uneasy. Some whispered that it could be a trap, a trick to lure humans into danger. But Elena knew better. Years ago, these aliens had started a brutal war, leaving scars that still burned in human memory. Now, they were calling for help, and the choice was simple. Answer and face unknown threats, or ignore and let them die. As the Iron Resolve closed the distance, the alien ship appeared broken and silent. No signs of life showed on the scanners, only faint energy pulses and strange power readings. Elena ordered a boarding team to prepare. The air was thick with tension. No one trusted the SOS fully. When the boarding party entered, the silence inside was haunting. The corridors were empty except for lifeless bodies floating in zero gravity. But then, a sudden movement caught the team's attention, a shadow slipping quickly out of sight. The aliens were not as helpless as they seemed. The captain's gut tightened. The SOS was real, but the truth behind it was far darker. Something had attacked the ship, but who? And why had the survivors called for help now? Elena knew this rescue mission would lead to answers and danger. As the team pushed deeper inside, the line between friend and foe blurred, and the war was far from over. The universe was about to show its deadliest secrets, and humanity would have to be ready for what came next. The Iron Resolve floated silently near the damaged alien ship as the boarding team sent back nervous reports. The ship's corridors were eerie and empty, but the strange power spikes grew stronger. Captain Elena Voss studied the readings carefully. Something was hidden, something dangerous. The alien survivors' life signs were faint but still there, trapped somewhere inside the ship. Elena ordered her team to search for the survivors quickly. Every step echoed in the cold metal halls. Suddenly, the lights flickered and the air grew colder. The team's scanners beeped wildly, picking up movement nearby. Shadows danced just beyond their sight. The silence was broken by a soft, low hum, not from their ship, but from the alien vessel itself. As the team moved forward, they found a strange room filled with unknown devices. One machine pulsed with a dim blue light, sending waves of energy through the walls. The team's engineer, Mika, tried to access the ship's computer but was blocked by complex security protocols. It felt like the ship was alive and did not want them there. Then, a faint voice came over the comms, shaky, urgent, and barely human. The survivors were still alive, but scared. They warned the humans to leave immediately. The boarding team exchanged worried glances. Was this a plea for help or a trap? Elena's mind raced. The signals seemed desperate, but the strange power surges suggested a hidden threat. Just as they decided to push deeper, the ship suddenly shook violently. An explosion rocked the alien vessel, sending debris floating around. The boarding team struggled to keep their footing. Elena's voice cut through the chaos. Hold your ground. We need to find out what caused this. The true danger was waking, and time was running out. The boarding team moved cautiously through the twisting corridors, their lights cutting through the thick darkness. The air was heavy with silence, broken only by the soft hum of the alien ship's systems. As they advanced, more signs of struggle appeared. Scorch marks on the walls, broken panels, and strange symbols etched into the metal. It was clear the ship had been attacked, but by what? Suddenly, a shadow darted across the far end of the hallway. The team froze, weapons ready. They called out, but no answer came. Only a faint whisper echoed back, chilling and strange. The survivors were alive, but hiding, and they were afraid. The tension tightened like a noose. The captain's comm crackled with a new message. They're not what they seem. Elena Fronad. Who was speaking? The voice was alien, but different from the SOS senders. Something was wrong. Deeper inside, the team found a sealed chamber glowing with an eerie green light. Inside, alien bodies floated motionless in stasis pods. Suddenly, one pod cracked open, and a creature lunged forward with wild eyes. The team fired, but it vanished into the shadows, leaving only fear behind. Elena realized the SOS had been a trap. The alien survivors had lured them here for a reason. But what? Before she could think further, the ship's power flickered, and the corridors shifted as if the ship itself was alive and trying to trap them. The boarding team was no longer just rescuers. They were trapped in a deadly maze. Every corner held danger, and trust was impossible. Elena's heart pounded. The real battle had just begun, and the answers they sought were darker than anyone imagined. The boarding team pressed on, their nerves fraying with every step. The alien ship's corridors twisted and turned, confusing even the most experienced crew members. The strange power surges grew stronger, and the ship seemed to respond to their presence. Doors slammed shut behind them, and alarms echoed in the empty halls. Captain Elena Voss gathered her team in a small control room they managed to secure. The survivors' distress calls became clearer over the comms, filled with desperation and fear. They begged for evacuation, warning that something worse than war was coming. Elena's gut told her to trust no one. This was no simple rescue. Mika, the engineer, worked furiously on the ship's systems to unlock the secrets behind the strange power readings. Suddenly, the computer screens flashed with encrypted messages, signals hidden beneath the SOS. The ship had been attacked, but the real damage came from inside. Someone had betrayed the survivors. Before they could react, a hidden transmitter activated. A piercing alarm shattered the silence, and the team's comms burst with static. Elena's eyes widened. This was no accident. The survivors had used the SOS as bait. Their message had called enemy forces directly to the Iron Resolve's location. The team scrambled to disable the transmitter, but the ship's systems fought back, locking down key areas. Time was running out. Elena's voice was steady but urgent. Prepare for an ambush. We fight to survive. The crew braced for the worst. Outside, dark shapes moved on the sensors. The trap was closing, and the real battle was about to begin. The warning lights flashed red as enemy ships appeared on the Iron Resolve sensors. Captain Elena Voss stared at the screen, her jaw tight. The SOS had been a deadly trap. The alien survivors weren't asking for help. They had led the humans into an ambush. The boarding team hurried to disable the hidden transmitter, but the alien ship's defenses fought back fiercely. Locked doors, electrified floors, and automated turrets slowed their progress. Mika worked quickly, fingers flying over the controls, sweat dripping from his brow. Time was slipping away. Outside, the enemy warships closed in, their weapons charging. The bridge crew prepared the Iron Resolve for battle. Elena gave orders with calm strength, knowing that failure meant death for everyone. The silence before the storm was heavy, broken only by the hum of the ship's engines and distant explosions. Inside the alien vessel, the boarding team finally destroyed the transmitter, but not before a final shockwave knocked them to the floor. Elena's voice came through the comms. Get back to the Iron Resolve now. As the team raced back through the twisting corridors, the ship shook violently. Alarms blared as explosions tore through the hull. The trap was springing shut, but the humans refused to be caught. Back on the Iron Resolve, the battle began. Laser beams cut through space, and ships exploded in fiery bursts. The humans fought with ruthless precision, showing why they were feared across the galaxy. Elena watched the chaos unfold, her heart steady. They had walked into a trap, but now it was their turn to strike back. The battle outside the Iron Resolve was fierce and relentless. Enemy warships swarmed like angry hornets, firing lasers and missiles in every direction. The human crew moved quickly and with deadly skill, their weapons cutting through the enemy ships one by one. Captain Elena Voss stood firm on the bridge, her eyes sharp and her voice calm as she gave orders. Inside the alien vessel, the boarding team fought to stay alive. The ship trembled under heavy fire, and parts of the ceiling collapsed around them. Shadows moved in the dark, and strange noises echoed through the halls. The survivors they had hoped to save seemed more like prisoners, trapped by their own secrets. Elena knew this fight was more than just a battle for survival. It was a warning to anyone who dared to send a false SOS to humanity. No mercy, she said firmly. We are not diplomats. We are destroyers. The Iron Resolve unleashed its full firepower, targeting enemy command ships and breaking their formations. Explosions lit up the dark space like deadly fireworks. Yet, even as victory seemed near, new ships appeared, faster, stronger, and more dangerous than before. The captain's jaw clenched. The fight was far from over. The humans had answered the SOS with destruction, but now they faced an enemy more terrifying than any before. The galaxy held many secrets, and this war was only the beginning. As the Iron Resolve prepared for the next wave, Elena whispered to herself, "We will survive, no matter what comes." The Iron Resolve shuddered as enemy fire struck its shields, sparks flying across the control panels. Captain Elena Voss gripped the railing, her mind sharp and focused. The battle was brutal, but she refused to back down. Humanity had earned a fearsome reputation in the galaxy, and now they would show why. Her orders were clear: no survivors. The enemy had tried to trap them with a false SOS, and now it was time to end the threat once and for all. The human crew worked like a well-oiled machine, launching volleys of missiles and firing energy beams that tore through enemy ships. Each explosion was a message. Humanity would not be fooled again. Inside the alien ship, the boarding team pushed through wreckage and fires, determined to complete their mission. The survivors, once pleading for help, now hid in terror, realizing the humans were not here to rescue, but to destroy. Elena's voice came over the comms, steady and cold. "We are not your diplomats. We are your destroyers." As enemy ships fell, a grim silence settled over the battlefield, but only for a moment. New ships appeared on the sensors, faster and more aggressive. The true enemy was still out there, watching and waiting. The humans had won this fight, but the war was far from over. Elena stared into the dark expanse of space, knowing that humanity's answer to the SOS was only the beginning. The galaxy would soon learn that when humans come to war, they bring destruction, and they never forget. As the last enemy ships burned in space, the Iron Resolve began to recover from the fierce battle. But the victory felt hollow. Scanners detected a new signal, one colder and darker than anything they had faced before. The survivors they had tried to save were fleeing from something far worse. Captain Elena Voss studied the data carefully. The message was clear. A predator species hunted war fleets like prey, destroying everything in its path. This was no ordinary enemy. The predator was fast, silent, and deadly, striking without warning and leaving nothing behind. The crew worked quickly to prepare the Iron Resolve for what was coming. Weapons were loaded, shields reinforced, and every sensor tuned to catch the faintest sign of the predator's approach. Elena's voice carried steady across the ship. "This is not over. We face a greater danger, one that could end us all." Inside the alien ship's remains, eerie silence fell. The predator's presence was felt everywhere, like a shadow creeping through the wreckage. The boarding team moved cautiously, knowing that survival meant more than fighting. It meant outsmarting a foe that did not play by any rules. The galaxy had grown darker, and humanity's fight had taken a deadly turn. The SOS had been only the first warning, and the true war was just beginning. Elena stared out into the blackness, her resolve hardening. Whatever came next, the Iron Resolve would stand tall or fall trying. The calm before the storm shattered as sensors screamed with an incoming threat. The predator had arrived, faster and more terrifying than anyone imagined. Its massive ship loomed out of the darkness, black as a void, with weapons unlike any the Iron Resolve had ever faced. Captain Elena Voss felt a cold shiver run down her spine. This was no ordinary enemy. The predator struck without warning, firing powerful energy beams that tore through shields and hull alike. The Iron Resolve rocked violently, alarms blaring across the ship. The crew scrambled to respond. Lasers fired back, but their weapons barely scratched the predator's armor. The battle was desperate, and the humans fought with every ounce of strength they had. Outside, debris floated in the void as ships exploded in brilliant bursts of fire. Inside the damaged alien vessel, the boarding team struggled to survive. The predator's shadow seemed to follow their every move, trapping them in deadly corners. Trust was impossible as fear grew among the survivors and humans alike. Elena's voice cut through the chaos. Hold the line. We will not fall here. The fight was no longer just for victory. It was a battle for survival. The Predator had come to end them all, but humanity refused to die without a fight. As the war raged on, one truth became clear. The galaxy was more dangerous than anyone had ever known, and the Iron Resolve was in the center of a storm that might never end. The Iron Resolve was battered and worn, but it still moved through the darkness of space. Captain Elena Voss watched the stars pass by, her face set with quiet determination. The Predator had struck hard, but the humans had survived, barely. The alien survivor's ship lay in ruins, consumed by the Predator's relentless attack. Elena knew this was only the beginning. The message they sent across the galaxy was clear and fierce. Never send us an SOS, unless you want destruction to follow. The crew worked tirelessly to repair the ship and prepare for what lay ahead. They had faced traps, ambushes, and a deadly predator, and lived. But the war was far from over. New enemies would come, drawn by the chaos and bloodshed. Elena's thoughts turned to the future. Humanity had answered the SOS with destruction, and the galaxy had taken notice. Some feared them, others would challenge them. The Iron Resolve was a warning and a promise, a symbol of human strength and will. As the ship jumped into hyperspace, Elena whispered, "We survive because we fight. We fight because we never forget." The stars stretched out before them, endless and full of danger. But the humans would face it all, ready to bring destruction to anyone who dared threaten their home.